We kick things off with some context to help us understand this new world of Avalheim. Our hero, Amakusa Rekudo, has been summoned into this fantasy land by a magical alchemist who goes by the name of Gilstra Jin. He had agreed to become this man's pupil for around half a year, but our hero was left alone within only a few days. Rekudo decides to head out into the forest, but comes across some thieves. For added context, in this world, thieves are as good as monsters, so people are free to take their lives if they want to. Rekudo catches the thieves attacking him, and it looks like he's about to get nasty. However, as the cute girl looks on hopelessly, she is spared by our hero, much to her surprise. The girl tries to justify her methods, but Rekudo doesn't care because she and her group rob innocent people. She has no answer to his statements, so she just looks on as our hero tells her that what she's doing is wrong. The cute girl knows the risks that come with what she's doing, and is even ready to lose her life if she comes across a monster who bests her. She and her group bow down to Rekudo, as if he is their new master because they don't know what to do if they are forgiven for their sins. Our hero doesn't think much of it and hands over a bag of gold and silver to the girls. They are shocked by this gesture, as Rekudo tells them that they can use this money to start a new life and do the right thing. This is still an unusual turn of events, so Rekudo tells the girls that they should live with honor if not anything else. The leader of the girl gang still has no idea why our hero would just donate so much money. That too to the girls who tried to rob him. However, he just says that it was because of his mood, and it surprises her even further. She says her name is Shararu Natsumi and asks for Rekudo's name, but he avoids the question and walks away. Natsumi urges him to reveal his name, so Rekudo finally gives it to her and says it's not a big deal as he rubs her head as well. Natsumi gets really excited upon hearing such kind words, but Rekudo mistakes this to be awkwardness. He feels odd and says sorry for touching her head, but Natsumi says that she owes her life to him. As a matter of fact, she says that she is now Rekudo's slave and he can do whatever he wants to her from head to toe. As expected, this makes our boy nervous because Natsumi is a very cute girl. He tries to brush it off and says that the girls should just try to live an honest life from now on. However, before he can bid the girls farewell, he gets attacked by a swarm of guardian ants. We learn that these monsters are usually at rank D, but when they attack in a swarm, they can go as high as rank C, which is tough for the adventurers of this world. Rekudo gets ready for battle and reassures Natsumi that he is fine. However, she does not want her savior to get ambushed, so she offers to clear a path for him, even though Rekudo doesn't really need her help. Our hero tries to convince Natsumi to worry about her own safety, but she attacks the ant monsters with all her might. Their movements are such that they overpower Natsumi with ease, and they are about to feast on her as she lies helpless on the ground. Luckily, Rekudo comes to the rescue and uses his punches and kicks to defeat the ants with ease. Despite this, he wonders why guardian ants are showing up in a ranky forest. Anyway, he rushes to Natsumi and offers his hand, but has to deal with an awkward situation. After they get over it, Natsumi apologizes for not being able to help her new master. Rekudo only wants to know why she was still following him after their little talk, so Natsumi acts cute and says that she can't just leave her new master alone, or even let him walk into the danger zone by himself. She then says that she will escort him to town, as the other girls are not as strong as she is. Rekudo agrees to this, and is happy to have company, but doesn't know if Natsumi can keep up with him. He decides to check her foot because she had fallen down, but it leads to a comedy of errors as she feels very shy to be examined in this way. Anyway, Rekudo asks her if it hurts when he squeezes her feet, but she still acts coy because she doesn't want to offend him. Rekudo eventually fixes her injuries, and then Natsumi reveals that she's only been touched on her bare skin once before this. Our hero gets interested when she says this, but it turns out that the first time someone touched Natsumi was when Rekudo rubbed her head. It creates an awkward scene once again, so our hero decides to focus on reaching the nearest town first. He asks Natsumi if she can stand, and she tries, but she is still not fully healed. Rekudo gets an idea and gives her the bag of gold and silver. He then asks her to get on his back for a piggyback ride. This will help her heal faster, but at the same time, she feels shy because she's going to be sticking to her new master. As expected, Rekudo can feel all kinds of things while carrying his new slave girl, so he figures he should calm down for now to put his heart at ease before it explodes. Now, it's time to make some ointment, so our hero gets to work with some herbs, berries, and leaves. He is quite skilled at making the healing paste, and reveals that he had learned this from his master. Natsumi gets excited upon hearing this, because she imagines becoming Rekudo's disciple and spreading his messages even after he has passed. Our hero finds all of this a bit too extra, so he asks Natsumi for her foot. She presents it but in shady fashion, so Rekudo confirms that it is only to apply the healing paste. Natsumi does as she's told, and is treated with the paste. But what follows is a sequence of events that cannot be described in words. Natsumi lets her wild side loose, and Rekudo does the best he can to maintain a poker face. He gets done with his job, and then he ties up the wound to help Natsumi recover faster. Now that all the touching is over, our hero asks Natsumi what led her to become a thief. She says that in her village, there was an awful custom where girls would be forced to accept marriages even if they have rejected them. Rakuto believes this is wrong, but then Natsumi explains that the girl still has to say yes, and she only has to accept the men whom she liked but couldn't commit to. It's mainly for the parents, because they get a nice gift in return for their daughters. Our hero thinks that Natsumi is defending the custom, but then she says that her case was a lot worse. Basically, she had received a proposal when she was only 10 years old, and the man who liked her was a big creep. She had openly said no to him, but he came with a lot of gold coins, and that made her parents think twice about it. It led to them forcing Natsumi to say yes to the giant creep because he left the gold coins with them despite getting rejected. Hearing such an awful story makes Rakuto feel bad, because it brings back some memories of his own. He lets out a loud shriek and it worries Natsumi, but he assures her that all is well. He then proceeds to rub her head again and tells her that she is a good person. Natsumi explains that she had decided to use her fighting skills to do adventures with her friends, but only low-rank requests. Once the monsters got stronger in the area, she would not get as many requests as before. This was why she turned into a thief, so that she and her friends could survive. Rakuto gets the picture now, and asks if doing regular work is hard. Natsumi says that it's tough to do it on a daily basis, so our hero tells her that he's going to a town named Kaimso. Here, everyone is an adventurer, so there are a lot of missions over there to accept. He asks her if she can get up now, and after a brief period of pain, Natsumi is finally able to walk. Rakuto is pleased to see this, and then he asks Natsumi her age to see if there's something special going on here. However, he gets the shock of his life when she says she's only 12 years old. Our hero cannot believe that a girl so young has a body so developed, but this makes Natsumi ask him if he likes curvy figures. This prompts Rakuto to give her a quick lesson on men and the things they liked. His words are true, but at the same time, mature. This makes Natsumi nervous because she does not know how to react to such statements. Our hero realizes that he has quite the task ahead of him because Natsumi is a very shy girl due to her age. The new duo makes their way to the town, but Rakuto makes sure not to look at Natsumi's body. Otherwise his intrusive thoughts might take over. He asks her what she will do upon reaching the town, and she says that she will pay for her sins. In order to do this, she will make herself a slave girl and do all kinds of missions to make up for her past crimes. This includes deadly missions that might turn out to be lethal. One such mission was taking on an army of wyverns that were just as strong as dragons. Out of the 8 people that fought against them, only 1 came out alive. This story makes Rakuto anxious, but Natsumi tells him that such missions are rare. Also, there is a huge reward for surviving them, and all her sins can be forgiven if she even completes one of them. However, our hero feels it's too risky for her to get involved and expresses his concern. Natsumi still wants to pay for her sins, and she says she wants to be Rakuto's assistant once she is done covering her debt. He thinks about it for a bit, and eventually agrees to her suggestion. This makes Natsumi very happy, so the duo reaches the town, and then Rakuto goes to the Adventurers Guild while Natsumi begins her atonement. Here, he meets the reception lady named Lumi and asks her to call the guild master. She wants to know what the issue is, so Rakuto shows her the antennae of one of the guardian ants he took down in the forest. After he explains the scene to Lumi, she gets worried because such monsters are not supposed to be found inside E-rank forest. Now that she has the proof, Lumi decides to call the guild master of this town, and it turns out to be a cute kitty girl named Reina Murin. Lumi tells her what Rakuto had said, so Reina allows him to come see her. However, Lumi warns our hero not to make Reina angry because she might just end his life if her mood is like that. Despite his nervous posture, it turns out that Reina is a decent young girl, as she offers him a drink and makes some small talk. It's time to get down to business, so our hero tells her exactly what he saw at the forest. Reina takes this matter seriously and decides to open an investigation into it. She also decides to send out an alert to notify everyone about the new monsters in the forest. Rakuto is fine with this, but he asks her if an adventurer can start out as an F rank. She replies by saying people have also been known to start as D rank or even C rank at times. It's at this moment when Reina's guard Lilith starts talking and belittles Rakuto for having high ambitions. She is a Zwerg Holy Knight, which means that she has a very high rank despite being a woman. Our hero doesn't care about that anyway, because what matters is the amount of mana in the body. Even Reina doubts Rakuto and places a lot of faith in Lilith to be able to humble him for his ambition. With that, Lilith summons the power of God to bless her with the Tempest Dreiger, which is like a flame sword. This sword can cut through a person, but will not take their life, so Lilith can go all out against Rakuto. She charges at our hero with full strength, hoping to defeat him with ease, but that doesn't happen at all. As a matter of fact, she is beaten before she can even figure it out. and is left humiliated within seconds. Reina is very impressed by Rekudo and his skills, so she decides to try him out for herself. Lilith, on the other hand, is out of words because she has never tasted defeat like this. She is worried that Reina will let her go, but the guild leader says that this is just a lesson for her to grow even stronger. With that out of the way, it's time for both Reina and Rekudo to test out their powers against each other. Reina explains the rules and says that our hero will simply have to avoid her attacks and stay standing after 5 minutes. She will consider him strong if he manages to do this, but he asks why he can't attack her. Reina laughs and says he can do so if he has a death wish, and then she summons the forces of her powers. Soon enough, a dark portal opens up and we see some dragons diving out of them. This is Reina's main move, and she says that her dragons can pop up from anywhere. That's exactly what happens with Rekudo as he senses a dragon grabbing his leg from behind. Basically, these dragons can take away your senses simply by touching you, and that's exactly what's happening with Rekudo right now. Reina is very proud at this moment, and she tries to act cool in front of Rekudo, but he doesn't care about any of this and frees himself from the Dragon Legion. She clearly doesn't like this attitude, so she tells her Fang Dragon to attack her opponent with full force. The beast approaches Rekudo with all its might, and things start to look bad for our hero. However, he turns the tables by telling Reina that she does not know how to manage her powers despite having so many of them. He then proceeds to defeat the dragon with ease and makes it vanish from his sight. Reina cannot believe what she is seeing, and then Rekudo snaps out of the trance he was being held under. He quickly pounces on top of Reina and pins her down with ease to claim his victory. However, he seems to have dominated the guild leader by a lot, so he seems imposing upon her. He asks her if he has won the battle, and she agrees to it, although she looks very shy after being humbled. Rekudo helps her up and asks if she's alright, but goes on to experience something that's all too familiar. Reina hugs her opponent with care and says that she's feeling good now. She even confesses that she has fallen in love with him, which confuses Rekudo, even though he finds her cute. Reina says that she fell in love the moment he pinned her to the ground, but that really isn't a good reason for romantic feelings. The reason for this is that Reina has a lot of black mana, which makes men fear her. She has never been approached due to this, so when Rekudo came charging at her with all his passion, she immediately fell for him, because after all, she too is a woman. Our hero is clueless just as he was with Natsumi, but then Reina asks him to rub her head, hug her body, and pin her down once again. She takes things a step further by kissing her new lover boy as well. Rekudo is made to blush by this, but Reina promises to do whatever he asks of her and wants to become his new slave girl. Rekudo doesn't really want to get into this, so he brings up the guild rank topic, which makes her angry. Reina loses her cool and starts shouting at her lover boy for ignoring all her efforts. However, he reminds her that the reason for this battle was to give him a B rank in the first place. She then goes on to explain that the weak will never achieve a B or in a rank because they do not have the hunger to do so. In the case of Rekudo, not only did he display that hunger, but was also able to defeat her, which is something that has never happened before. Our hero is confused by this and asks if that means he can't be given the B rank. However, Reina cutely says that she will keep her promise and give him the rank he desires. The only problem is that it will take time for her to do this. So Rekudo has to be happy with an F rank as of now. However, he asks her to remember one thing very carefully, which is that a human was able to defeat the guild master of this town with ease. He also tells her to wait for a response to her love confession. It makes Reina upset because she thinks that Rekudo doesn't like cute girls like her. However, he says that he finds her adorable and definitely likes her. It makes Reina blush and she is delighted to hear this news. Our hero explains that he has already made a promise to Natsumi because she did not have freedom before and wants it now. However, this is not a romantic promise, as the deal was only for her to become his assistant. Reina accepts what Rekudo is saying, but she tells him that he must take her after his deal with Natsumi is done. After all, it's not fair for her to win just because she met Rekudo before Reina. With that, the guild master holds hands with Rekudo and promises to do her best to raise his rank. They separate for now, and weeks pass by, but Reina can't control herself anymore, so she goes to see Rekudo with a new ribbon on her head. He wants to know where she got this from, and even rubs her head. He says that he finds her cute in this, and it makes her blush once again. She is about to talk about why she's really here, but then she gets distracted by a horrid sight. It turns out that Rekudo is living in a house that isn't even completed from the top. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that Reina can't even call it a kennel. Rekudo tries to defend his choices, but the guildmaster will not have any of it, because the house is not even able to keep him safe from rain or the wind. Anyway, there is no point in this chat, so she moves on to the reason for her arrival. It turns out that Reina wanted to see the strong man who had defeated her, and she starts to sing some praises, but our hero quickly gets why she's here. A monster has shown up and it is very hard to defeat unless someone is hired to do it. Since that is an expensive process, Reina decided to go to her lover boy for help. She says that she wanted to meet him all week, but was unable to do so because of her appointments. She goes on a different train of thought and starts talking about some nasty dreams, but Rakuto stops her from getting too excited and asks her to focus on the real reason she is here. Reina comes back to her senses and tells her lover boy that she has some information on the guardian ants. It looks like there are 7 burrows as of now, and there is a queen ant who is controlling all of the other soldier ants. Since they are just like normal ants, Rakuto figures that he can put the whole thing to an end if he just takes out the queen ant. However, Reina doesn't want him to do so because it is a very risky mission. She even looks at our hero with dreamy eyes. But he reminds her that she came here to ask him for that favor in the first place. She says that she doesn't want him to go because of her female hormones. But Rakuto tells her that he must join the mission. This is because a real man would not let a woman stop him from doing what he is supposed to do. Also, he knows that Natsumi will probably be asked to go ahead and fight the ants because she is currently atoning for her sin. He would want her to be free as soon as possible, so he will take on these ants and save the town. It's time to go to the subjugation meeting, so Reina summons her dragon to take her there. Rakuto finds this to be impressive, because riding a dragon is no small feat. This only makes Reina feel shy because it's not that big of a deal, and she's not used to hearing such things being said to her face. Rakuto is to sit behind her, and it leads to an awkward scene between them. Both of them try their best to remain calm, but Reina can't stop thinking about her lover boy behind her. As a matter of fact, she starts to drift away into her fantasy world, so Rakuto has to ask her to snap back to reality. However, Reina's heart starts to beat fast, so she ends up fainting out of love by the time she and Rakuto reach the meeting point. Our hero enters the room and spots a lot of species that are seated for discussion. One of the members asks him who he is, but Rakuto gives a cold stare and asks them for their name first. It happens to be a girl named Cecilia Ferguson, who is known as the Iron Crushing Axe and the 20th strongest rank. She keeps talking about her family being noble and wealthy, while also praising her own skills to no end. Our hero simply replies by stating his F rank, but that makes Cecilia upset because she is much higher than him in rank. She is not happy with his attitude, but then Reina tells her to calm down because Rakuto was able to beat her easily, and she is the 10th most powerful rank. Cecilia is shocked to hear this and asks Reina if she has lost her powers, but she says that is not the case. With Cecilia calm now, Reina proceeds to talk about the enemy. It looks like there are around 8,000 to 10,000 enemy ants, so a plan needs to be followed. She takes out a draft that was used in a similar situation 8 years ago. The plan is quite detailed and will require 3 squads in total, with the elite squad being used to defeat the Queen Ant. It's time to choose the members of this squad, but Cecilia says that the draft plan being used from 8 years ago had a lot of damage dealt to the squads, which means the plan might not be as good as it sounds. Reina is open to any new suggestions, so Cecilia says that one person should disguise themselves as an ant and then create an explosion from inside. The only problem with this is that the person playing the role of the bomber will have to give away their life. Cecilia is fine with this and suggests using a prisoner for the plan, but Reina is against it because that would go against the rules. Cecilia is still fixated on this plan because she would rather have the prisoners pass away than guild members. She even confesses that she was the leader of the battle against the wyverns where she was the only survivor. She had made prisoners come with her and gave them slow-acting poison so that they could end the wyverns even if they got eaten up. Cecilia clearly has no remorse or soul because the prisoners who had survived the battle ended up passing away because the antidote could not be given to them in time. This is why Reina is against her ways and continues to say no to whatever she is suggesting. However, Cecilia brings up the fact that Reina is a criminal's daughter, which is why she is still siding with them. It turns out that Reina's father had committed sins for selfish reasons, and she had to suffer for them in the form of experiment. She lost her left eye because of this, and was eventually forgiven when the scientists got their results. The chat between her and Cecilia keeps going on, but our hero has had enough of this, so he asks them to shut up. Cecilia does not like his tone, especially since he is a commoner, but Rakuto tells her that his family also comes from nobility and she should not challenge him. The bratty princess simply calls him a cockroach and demands a duel. Our hero tells her that they should be fighting ant monsters, not people, and even calls her a fool for wasting time. Rakuto doesn't see the difference between fighting an ant and fighting Cecilia, so he continues to mock her, but then someone else joins the conversation. It's a succubus girl by the name of Orly, who is the 6th most powerful rank. She happens to be the strongest in the room, and asks him to accept Cecilia's challenge. This is basically for him to show his strength to everyone over here, even though Orly can sense that he is not a normal man. As a matter of fact, his mana knows no end, so it would be good if he could give a glimpse of his skills. Cecilia is confident that she will make him beg for mercy, so she summons her sword and charges at Rakuto. As expected, our hero crushes her sword with ease and even mocks her by saying he made a mistake thinking she was as strong as Reina. With one blow, Cecilia is on the ground, barely able to collect herself, and does something embarrassing in front of everyone. With no honor left to show, she agrees to follow a more humane method of fighting the ants. However, Rakuto says that won't be necessary because he can just go to the queen himself and get the job done. As expected, this shocks everyone in the room and Reina tells him he's being mad for even suggesting this. However, our hero is confident that he can pull this off by himself because he only needs to defeat the queen. Even then, he will need to defeat at least 1,000 ants on his way to meet her, so Reina tries to talk some sense into her lover boy. Rakuto says he knows what he's doing and has an 80% chance of pulling it off. After all, it would take at least 7 or 8 people like Cecilia to even match what he's capable. He does agree that there might be a chance of him failing, in which case, only one person gets sacrificed, but then the others will need to come up with a new plan of attack. Cecilia goes on to say that she will crawl like a dog and lick his feet if he's able to pull off what he's saying. However, Rakuto ignores her and talks to Orly instead. She thinks his power has blinded him, but he says that they're just from different worlds. The argument carries on for a while, but Rakuto eventually has his way, and he gets Reina to do as he says. For starters, he wants to take Natsumi on the mission with him, because if everything works out, he can free her from her duties. Reina instantly agrees to his terms and gives him the authority to act on his own during this mission. Our hero begins his work by studying the ants and their ecology for 3 days. Then, he is finally reunited with Natsumi, who is happy to see him. Reina doesn't feel the same way, because she views Natsumi as a competitor for Rakuto's love. Along with Natsumi is another prisoner named Mia, because it is unusual to loan prisoners to individuals. Due to this, Reina got these 2 girls loaned to the guild and has transferred them to Rakuto. Our hero shows his appreciation by rubbing her head again, and it makes her blush like a cherry. Reina does admit that she doesn't like being made to bring her own rival to her lover, but she is helpless against Rakuto's affection. After all, she doesn't want people to think that she is a lewd woman who can be pleased easily. However, Rakuto calls her cute once again and she decides to leave before bursting into emotions once again. She tells her lover boy not to do anything silly with Natsumi, and then she leaves on her dragon. Our hero can finally greet Natsumi properly, but she pounces on him out of pure joy. He tries to calm her down because there is someone else in attendance as well. This is Mia, who had decided to follow Natsumi into the life of atoning for her sins because she is her leader. The other members of the girl gang are busy with their own lives, so Rakuto cuts the small talk and gets down to business. He has taken down an army of guardian ants, and he wants the girls to spread their scent all over his clothes. Natsumi and Mia don't seem to understand his intentions and call him a hentai man for even thinking about such an idea. He tries to convince the girls that he has planned everything carefully and this is not some kind of twisted fantasy. Natsumi even tries to act like an ant to make him excited, but our hero explains that the surface of these ants is coated with some kind of wax which emits a pheromone. This chemical helps the other ants figure out if they are friends or foes, which is why Rakuto wants to deceive them by having the pheromone all over his clothes. The girls are a bit confused, but after Rakuto explains the point in further detail, they agree to rub the ant wax all over his clothes. Of course, Natsumi goes crazy because she has her master's clothes in her hands right now. She tries to hide the fact that she's having a lot of fantasies running wild in her head, so Rakuto calls her out for being a hentai girl. This hurts her feelings, but Natsumi is fine with it because she loves her master. Without further ado, the girls get to work, but are unable to proceed with much success. That's when Rakuto decides to take over and he starts slicing through the ants like he's chopping onion. The girls are amazed to see his skills, so he says that sometimes, a knife can only be used properly when the right amount of dexterity is at play. Mia figures that Rakuto is an overpowered boss man, and he does not need anyone to assist him. However, Natsumi says that she will do whatever she can to help her master, even if she isn't able to do much for him. Later, Rakuto and Natsumi head to a different building and leave Mia behind to watch over the house. Here, they find a bunny girl named Ramana who works here. She is carrying a lot of boxes, so Rakuto helps her out, but Natsumi becomes jealous. In a bid to explain who she is, our hero gently taps Ramana's head, but she gets excited and asks him not to do that. Rakuto is here to sell ant abdomens, so he releases all of them through his magic bracelet. Ramana does agree to buy them, but she states a lower price than what our hero would have expected. He brings it up, and Ramana panics because she knows she's made a mistake. Either way, Rakuto is fine with the price she has stated, and is willing to sell the ant parts for that amount. Ramana gets embarrassed and feels like Rakuto is always going easy on her. He says it's fine because he wants a favor from her, which is to be introduced to a blacksmith, preferably a skilled one. It's an urgent need, so Ramana doesn't know what to do. But then a woman named Ramina shows up. She says that Rakuto can take Ramana with him because she knows the way to a blacksmith. All of this is fine, but the problem is that Ramina is not wearing any clothes. The other girls panic and cover Rakuto's eyes so that he doesn't get to peek at Ramina's body. As our hero is made to look away from the scene, Ramana asks Ramina why she is roaming around in public like this. She doesn't seem to have any problems with this, so Ramana tells her to be watchful since Rakuto is a man. However, she wants him to see her in this state because she wants to become his wife in the future. This is a bit much because she has only just met him, but she states that she can sense his power and morals. Ramina starts to act cute around him, and he starts to get nervous when she says she'll show off her body as many times as she wants. Our hero asks her to wear some clothes and then takes Ramina with him as he runs away from the shop. Natsumi has seen all of this and starts to feel jealous, so she holds onto her master's arm to feel better. She confesses that Rakuto is a very popular man, and she would love to simply be his assistant, even though it is very clear that she is madly in love with him. Natsumi decides that she is going to work hard and make Rakuto like her, which even Ramana agrees to as both the girls hold onto our hero's arms for comfort. On the other hand, the only things Rakuto can think about are the wonders of the female body. The trio finally makes it to a blacksmith, and after a bride session, Rakuto gets a fine sword crafted for him. With everything set as per his plan, our hero decides to get some rest, so he heads to his bed for a nice nap. However, he sees his entire harem of admirers waiting for him, looking cute. He thinks he's just seeing things at first, but Reina confirms that the girls are indeed sitting in front of him. He doesn't get why there are so many women to greet him when he has a huge fight the next day. Reina gives him a quick kiss and explains that she wants his seed because he doesn't know if he is going to come back. Rakuto remains clueless as she says she wants him to do the nasty with her. She even hugs him to confirm that she wants this. But it's not just her who has this in mind. Natsumi says she also wants to be a part of this as she was the first one to fall in love with Rakuto. Iya says he can consider her a bonus, and even Ramina and Ramana offer themselves to our hero. With so many girls being so cute in front of him, Rakuto believes it would be rude to refuse them. He proceeds to get down and dirty with all the girls in a lengthy sequence, and proceeds to leave for his mission, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Before he sets out, he has a brief chat with Mia, who tells him about the difficult past she had to live. Because of this, she does not believe in God, but it's something to cheer for when she met Natsumi after her village burned down. They became friends after Natsumi had shared her food and water with Mia, and then they became bandits. The girls knew what they were doing, and Mia never thought that it was a bad thing. Of course, all of this changed when they met Rakuto. Our hero is still not able to understand what Mia is trying to say, because she talks about how the previous night was her way of thanking him for showing the girl gang his kindness. Mia proceeds to give him a kiss and says that she enjoyed the experience, even if it was shared with many other girls. The fact is that she has fallen in love with Rakuto for good. This is why she wants him to come back alive, as she won't be able to carry on without him. It's an emotional moment, but Reina is in the background listening to the whole thing. She realizes that being with many women might feel good, but what happens after may not always be a pleasant thing. He even goes on to say that she doesn't matter what position she comes in, as long as Natsumi is first and Reina is second. She wants to say more, but Rakuto gets the idea and gives her a hug. He also pats her head and promises to make it back safe, which lifts Mia's mood. However, Reina seems to be feeling down because her body isn't as curvy as the other girls. Our hero catches her in the middle of this, so she funnily tries to act innocent with him. After a brief chat about the military strategy, she tells Rakuto that she loves him way too much and even places him above her guild. This is why she has decided to join him in battle, as she cannot live with the anxiety of what is happening to him. Rakuto doesn't try to resist what she's saying, because she has already informed the others about her decision. Instead, he rubs some of the ant wax on her to make her seem friendly. Reina is made to test her wax almost instantly, as the duo comes across some ant monsters in the middle of the forest. Luckily for them, the ants pass by without even looking at the couple. They eventually find a burrow that matches the description of the one which leads to the queen ant. Both Rakuto and Reina enter this burrow, hoping to find the source of all this chaos and end it for good. A thrilling sequence follows, as our heroes manage to sneak past the ants without even alerting them. However, their mission hits a minor roadblock when they come across a diversion with 3 different paths. It's a tricky scene, but Reina gets to work and starts sniffing for clues. Rakuto finds her tactics cute, but she can only sense normal ants in all 3 passages. As per the previous reports, the queen is said to be living in the burrow which slides downwards. After careful thinking, the couple decides to take the left passage because it seems to be the most likely path towards the queen ant. Rakuto thanks Reina for her inputs, but she tries to hide her excitement by saying such things are expected from guild leaders. After a brief search, the couple comes across a giant hole that leads to a narrow path. Rakuto isn't sure if they should follow this route, but Reina spots a shining light at the end of the hole. This means that the queen ant could be down there, so Rakuto figures he should carry Reina and jump into the hole. She is a little shy to be carried by her lover boy, but our hero does it regardless, and she starts blushing. The couple has a smooth drop because Rakuto uses his sword to hang on to the edges as they fall towards their target. After this, they find themselves in a strange room, but Reina has to calm herself down first. There are lots of doors in front of them, so Reina has to check for traps first. She doesn't seem to sense any kind of shady scent ahead of them, but she isn't too sure about it either. With that, Rakuto decides to take the risk and starts opening the doors. First up, he finds a lot of fruits behind one door. These fruits don't seem to be poisonous, and are actually tasty too, as Reina takes a bite out of them. However, the couple soon realizes that they're in a rather deadly space. Out of nowhere, they come across a chimera, which is basically a lion with wings. Rakuto doesn't know how powerful such a beast is, so Reina explains that it's on par with a phantom. This means that the chimera is an extremely deadly monster, and its laser beam can reach as high as 4,000 degrees. On top of that, it's also known to have ended the lives of over 3,000 mercenaries with just a single blow. The chimera charges up for a laser blast, so Reina asks for 3 minutes to distract the beast. She is sure that she can end it if her lover boy distracts the monster for long enough, but that isn't even needed. Our hero simply charges at the chimera and takes it down with his sword technique Cherry Blossom Slash. Reina is stunned and at a loss for words, because she can't understand what just happened. She scolds Rakuto for being reckless, but he's actually disappointed because the monster was beaten with just a single whack. Rakuto isn't even harmed, so there's no cause for concern. Despite this, Reina maintains that he is the strongest person she has ever come across, and his power level is simply insane. Our hero looks at the hole in the wall that he just created and decides to carry on with the search. It doesn't go as he would have liked, because he and Reina come across more chimeras. Rakuto takes down 3 of them at the same time, but an even larger army shows up. Our hero manages to defeat quite a few of them while Reina charges herself, but he starts to struggle after a certain point. Luckily, Reina manages to unleash her Fang Dragon just in time to destroy all the remaining beasts. However, she falls down because she has used up too much mana to get the job done. Rakuto tends to her, and learns that she was experimented on as early as the age of 4. The side effect to her powers is that she is not able to move after using a lethal attack like the Fang Dragon. They wait for a bit till Reina regains her strength, and then they move forward. Our hero is worried about Reina for being too reckless with her powers, but she seems fine with what she's doing. They pass through some other routes, and also consider the chances of finding soldier ants next to the queen. Soon enough, Reina picks up on a scent that is not the same as a normal ant. Sensing an opportunity, Rakuto and Reina take this route, but they come across something odd. There seems to be a human over here, and she is a slave of the queen ant. This is a rather shocking discovery, but even the human slave doesn't quite understand what's going on till Rakuto questions her. She panics and brings out her giant sword to attack the couple, but our hero takes her down with ease. She falls to the ground and is defeated, but then Rakuto looks up and finds an entire harem of human slaves who are serving the ant queen. He doesn't know what to do, because he would prefer not to fight these cute girls. However, it's at this time when he hears another voice talking to him. It's none other than the ant queen herself, and she orders her slaves to bring the intruders towards her. She actually tries to strike a deal with Reina and Rakuto because she finds them to be useful. Basically, the ant queen attacks other beings and turns them into her own for the purpose of evolution. This is why she has chimeras and humans guarding her nest. Rakuto doesn't look impressed and asks her what happens to those who are not useful. The answer he gets is not a pleasant one, so he decides to go against the ant queen. Her words have no effect on him, even as she tries to mock his morals and ethics. As a matter of fact, Rakuto draws his sword and asks her if they can make this a duel. The ant queen accepts it, but Reina thinks it's a bad idea. She wants to help her lover boy, but he says that he's got this. Even then, Reina takes out a little knife and asks him if she can join him in the afterlife if he fails against the ant queen. There's no time for drama, so our hero says yes to her and begins his face-off. It's a tense scene as both the fighters square off against each other. Rakuto makes the first move by using his sword and calling upon the Dance of Death move, Sky Slash. However, this move has no effect on the ant queen and she gives it back to our hero with even more brute force. She feels like she has won the battle after landing a clean blow, but to her shock and amazement, nothing happens to Rakuto. The ant queen does not understand what's going on, so he tells her that he's at least 3 times stronger than an elite human being. He decides to land a finisher move on his target and jumps at her. Now, Rakuto unleashes his Moon God Funeral attack and takes down the ant queen with ease. She is amazed that he was able to get so closer, and Rakuto realizes that he is much more lethal if he gets closer to his target. However, the Ant Queen manages to survive the blow and tries one last trick on Rakuto. She does admit that he has earned her respect and would like them to be friends in the next life. Our hero doesn't have time for this, so he lands another finisher move and ends the Ant Queen. The problem here is that he was being held up by her power, so now he's going to fall without a painless solution. He accepts his fate and takes the head, but it doesn't really do any damage to him. Reina rushes towards her lover boy and gives him a tight hug to show her relief. Their romance is interrupted by the Ant Queen, who is now only a head. She asks Rakuto to come closer to her, because it's painful for her to use any effort when she's like this. Reina is scared, but Rakuto reassures her that the Ant Queen would not do something as cowardly as cheating. He moves closer to her, and she tells him that her daughter is going to be born soon. With her mother not around, she would like Rakuto to raise her. This comes as a surprise to our hero, because he is the one who ended the Ant Queen in the first place. However, she says that only the strongest warrior could defeat her, which is why she wants her children to be raised by such a person. This way, they can become even stronger than she ever was. The two of them have an emotional chat, because the Ant Queen believes Rakuto is a man who does not discriminate between species. She wants her child to be raised by such a man, and our hero eventually agrees to her request. After all, there's nothing a mother wants more than the happiness of her children. With their deal set in stone, the Ant Queen's body begins to process matter and transforms into mana. Rakuto doesn't understand what's going on, but then he sees a cute girl underneath all the debris. It's the Ant Queen's daughter, and she is not wearing any clothes. As expected, this makes things a little difficult for Rakuto, so he asks her to wear some clothes. She asks him if this is an order, because she was instructed by her mother to listen to him no matter what. Our hero's honor is at stake, so he tells her that it is indeed an order to cover her body, and she does so obediently. Reina takes a look at the child and asks for context, so Rakuto explains what the Ant Queen had told him. Reina doesn't know if this is a good idea, but Rakuto does, so he decides to go home now. On their way out, our heroes encounter all the cute human slaves who were working for the Ant Queen. They do not have any leader now, so they make Rakuto their king. It's a sudden development, but the ant girls are ready to do anything for their king, so he decides to give them clear instruction. They are not to attack humans or anyone else, and if anything were to happen, then they should send someone to Reina with a message. Now that all of this is clear, Rakuto looks at the Ant Queen's daughter and gently pats her on her head, which she obviously likes. Of course, Reina doesn't like this one bit, because the competition just got wider. Anyway, the three of them head back to town, and Rakuto asks if he can go visit the other girls. Reina says that they must first go to the guild and present a detailed report, but Rakuto says that he should at least show Natsumi that he is alive and well. Reina can't argue with her lover boy, so she says it's okay for them to take a short break. As he makes his victorious return, our hero is given a tight hug by Natsumi. He is pleased to meet his harem girls again, and it takes up a lot of his time. Reina sees this, so she offers to give the guild report by herself. She leaves the scene, and then Rakuto falls asleep with the Ant Queen's daughter by his side. He wakes up to the smell of delicious food, as Natsumi has prepared a meal for him while he was asleep. Actually, all the harem girls had a hand in making this meal, so they watch nervously as Natsumi gives the playboy his first bite. Luckily, Rakuto thinks the food is tasty, so the girls rejoice. They start taking credit for the roles and tasks they had taken up, and Rakuto has a good time with them. The attention shifts to the ant girl, and Rakuto offers her food, but she isn't able to eat. He wonders what could be wrong, but then he realizes that baby ants are unable to eat by themselves in the start. With no other option, he takes a bite of the food and then transfers it to the ant girl's mouth via a kiss. As expected, this makes her blush, and the other girls become increasingly jealous of the special treatment. They also want to be given food this way, so they make their lover boy do the same thing to each and every one of them. In the middle of this hilarious sequence, Reina drops by and demands to be given the same treatment. She forgives her lover boy for these sneaky kisses, but she has also come with an envelope. It contains the agenda for the post-subjugation meeting, and Rakuto is certain that the guild will have an issue with him taking care of the Ant Queen's child. However, things go much simpler than expected, and it is only Reina who takes extra caution. After the formalities are done with, we learn that Natsumi and Mia are freed from their sins and everyone has a happy ending. This can be taken in the literal sense as well, because Rakuto gives some heaven on earth to Reina for her help during his mission. After he's done with her, our hero decides to enjoy himself with the other girls from his harem. Like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 2. See you soon.